Hey, my name is Crimson Clad, and this is CyberBuzz Radio, and it's basically just me and Clay hanging out. I see a couple people hanging around all over the stream. I is alive. I am. So it's good to see you guys. It's a chill Saturday. It's, of course, a Saturday where the sun is out for most of North America. Summer is coming. Spring is like in the air. Everything is lovely out. And I think that's absolutely influencing people's attendance today. But that's good. So you know what? If it's a quiet one, I have got to, please don't do it. Honestly, although, maybe, I don't know. I have a cool topic today. And if you were here for Full Force Radio, then you would know I was talking a little bit about it. And, I have a couple different topics that I want to talk about, but the big one was I did want to talk a little bit about, of course, the AI that is taking over the internet. Everybody is loving DALL-E right now. And of course, there's Mid-Journey. There's a couple of different options that are out there, but everybody is creating AI generated art right now. And I thought, okay, I often talk about this on CyberBuzz. Often we we discuss some of the goods and the bads of this type of technological advancement, right? And so on this show, we often get a little conspiracy minded. I do not have super vital information. You do not have to tag everyone. If it's just a chill day today, I've got lots of good music. We can just play synths. And like I said, I am seeing some people starting to pop up around all of the different platforms. I see someone on Trovo. I got somebody kicking it on Twitch. There are like people watching over on Vim. So as soon as I get Vim updated, I'm going to put a post out because then I can share this later on. So, if it's ain't nobody here but us chickens, that's okay. We can do that. But I wanted to talk a little bit about this crazy AI thing that everybody is absolutely obsessed with, because we even talked about it on Full Force Radio. But I wanted to talk about it, of course, from a CyberBuzz bent, and I warned a lot of you guys that we would talk about this today. So even though, yeah, I know everybody's laughing about David Attenborough riding a Triceratops or the 9/11 gender reveal, which I'm sorry is absolutely hilarious, and I know I'm going to hell for that, but it is. It's the funniest thing. We could talk a little bit. Then people will be really mad. That's the other thing is if you ping in chat, then bad things will happen because everybody will freak out and think there was a ghost ping. So, everything seems live, but I noticed that the Discord chat seems to be not connected today because my overlay isn't happening. So that's interesting and confusing. And why not, right? Why not? Why would anything work on a day where I have actually something fun and interesting to talk about? Don't even worry about it. We're not going to worry about it. So yeah, I thought we could talk a little bit about some of the bad aspects of this generative adversarial network AI and some of the fun things that also are a little bit scary and some of the ways we can work around having this technology in our lives because we know technology is basically a Pandora's box, isn't it? Once it's out there, you're hooped. It's always out there. It's never going away. Never, never. It's just not going to happen. And so knowing that and knowing some of the ways that this technology is used in our lives and knowing some of the sort of pitfalls of this type of technology, how do we adapt as savvy people who are interested both in benefiting from technology, but also maintaining OPSEC? What is the right way to kind of use this stuff, have fun with it, benefit from all the good, and protect yourself from some of the really friggin' dystopian? And these are the things that I want to tackle today. The other things I want to talk about, obviously, lots of new synth music, which isn't really talking. I just want to play you some good jams. It's a Saturday afternoon. I want to put some great music in your ears. I want you to have a good time. And then finally, I want to talk a little bit about kind of what's going on around Hive. And I don't want to talk about Hive Fest because I know specifically a lot of the people in chat will get triggered. But with that being said, I do want to talk about it a little bit. I am bandying about whether or not I'm going to do a community talk this year. And so I thought that I would kind of I thought I would kind of plumb the depths of your guys's thoughts to see, what... In the past, we've had so many amazing sort of project-based talks at Hive Fest, and that's great, that's helpful, that's useful. But we don't always have a lot of sort of just pump up, general information, community-based talks. And I'm thinking about taking that on this year. And if I do, I kind of want to make sure that I'm hitting some of the buttons and some of the things that resonate with the people that we've already got around Hive, and some of the things that, if you could take out and tell someone else about, that would resonate with somebody who's not using Hive as well. So we'll talk about a little bit of that today. But if it stays really chill and there's only a couple of us, we will adapt the show on the fly. Now, the other thing to kind of keep in mind is that, yes, we are not doing the YouTube again today. I am falling into this new habit where everything will go out on live streaming services, starting with blockchain powered ones, and then I will post the replays themselves over on YouTube. And then that way we're still using the web to social media. We're making sure that you guys have access to the things that you want, but also kind of just keeping that on the down low. Maybe that's a mistake. Maybe most people get their notifications through YouTube. I don't know. I won't be able to tell, but maybe later on we'll be able to. Hi, Blue! I'll take a pity listen. So, my name is Krim. That's what we're doing today. We are touching on faking out deepfake AI. We are touching on some of the sort of community aspects of Hive and the way that we don't talk about that because we're always looking for, very monetary or very service-based value propositions. And I think it's time to change that. I think it's time to start talking about other things from a fun and hype-centric sort of place, or embracing some of our flaws and turning them into fun or at least provocative talking points. And then music. If you guys can handle that and it's only like a couple of us over the course of the day, then that's fine. Okay, no problemo. I do have a lot of music on my playlist today. I have a lot of new releases. I have some good stuff. I have a lot of stuff that is not necessarily super hi, good to see you, Vaquero. Yeah, and poor Vaquero got sucked in because I forgot to change my Twitch. I forgot to change all my notifications. Theta, Trovo, Vim TV, Twitch, they literally did say Full Force Radio. So I faked you out. I got you in here with the promise of metal, and now of course we're not actually doing the thing. So for whatever reason, it looks like Discord is just pooping itself in terms of the restream. Let's try that test. Maybe. There it goes. Okay, so for whatever reason, Discord just didn't look like it was behaving, and now it is. So it is what it is. Yes, test ickles for everybody. Ickles for all. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to have a lot of fun. And then, yes, of course, inevitably, I am sure people are going to share their favorite Dolly, and not Dolly as in the mustaches melting clocks, but Doll-E as in that crazy viral baby version of a giant image producing AI that is being trained on basic internet data right now. So, before I throw us into the middle of some new music and, oh my gosh, revised sociology, haven't seen you in a while. I mean, to be fair, I haven't seen anybody in a while because this is the first CyberBuzz back for like a month. Life has been crazy. There has been, family tragedies. There has been conference speaking for Hive. There has been traveling. It's been a long run, and I'm sorry. That's my fault. But I'm fixing it. Yes. Last big thing, the wake for my grandfather is tomorrow. So at least it wasn't today. We're going to have a big party. Tomorrow I'll be a disaster. And today we'll be fine, right? Hey, Ask Us, good to see you. So that's what we're going to do today. But so right before this, I was just mentioning about Dolly and how Dolly works and sort of the idea of this generative adversarial network. Now, this is a topic that's come up on CyberBuzz before and Full Force Radio this week too. But it's everywhere. If you have been on Twitter, if you've been on Facebook, if you've been on Instagram, if you've been on any viral site, hell, even news outlets are picking it up. You've probably seen some terrible picture of, like something terrifying, some blurry, lurking, like Slender Man looking thing behind like a Pizza Hut counter, or Larry the Cucumber at D-Day. There are some pretty funny and pretty terrible images being generated. Hey, Marco! And right now, that's exactly how you train a generative adversarial network. So the idea is you create a piece of AI. And we've talked about artificial intelligence on the show before. What is real intelligence? What is a soul? What creates actual intelligence in a person? And is that actually something that can be created in a digital form? And I know a lot of you think, some think yes, some think no. I know Ron's like, nope, you can only mimic it. And you know what? That's the truth. And part of that is our limitations as humans. We can only think as humans, pretending to be computers, pretending to be humans. That's fucking meta. Stop and think about that for a second. The only way to create a program that can teach itself to learn is to think like a teacher teaching a student. But the reality is we're not computers. Humans are illogical. They are messy. They are contradictory. They are often quite spiteful. There are a number of reasons why you will not kind of have a lot of success off the bat trying to program a computer that thinks like a person. And it's because we're a disaster, right? And it's not an easy thing to do. And maybe that's okay. But we've started learning that one of the best things we can do to teach a computer to think like a human is not to try and teach it, but to let it observe us. And when you need to give something a vast amount of data, the best resource we have is the internet. We know that. What connects all the people from everywhere in the world? What lets you pull up decades worth of information? What lets you pull everything from archives to personal conversations to scientific language to, whatever is being passed off as popular music? All of that exists on the internet, and it's basically there for anyone to look at. So why not a computer? Especially, why not a computer or a program that you are trying to teach to think like a human? The best place to see all the bullshit that humans think is out on the internet. So, yeah, it's how we learn language, for starters, a language we didn't invent. That's a really good point. At the end of the day, observing something and mimicking something is a very human trait. Children, when they learn, that's a very human way for even babies to learn, right? Think about little kids. They see their parents sweeping the floor and they're all like, I can do it too. And, 5 years later, they're like, oh shit, that's a chore. That's bullshit. But when you're little, you think that's the coolest. You want to do whatever it is an adult is doing, which is why the internet is full of hilarious pictures of babies pretending to smoke or, babies double fisting beer bottles. I have a picture like that because my dad thought it was funny. It's just the way that we learn. And so logically, we have finally come to a place where we're like, well, if babies can do it, computers can too. And maybe we'll get a computer that acts like a baby and will end up like a real person. Whether or not that's going to happen, the more information you give to an AI program, the better off it's going to be able to mimic a human, right? So now the trick is, how do we let intelligence blossom from that? How do we move from a place where you can just pull from all of the information in the world really fast, which makes you look smart? How do we move from that, which computers, programs, AI, databases can do now? The internet. You can literally just find any answer for everything really fast, and then people think you're smart. It's the definition of the internet age. How do you move from that to whatever true intelligence is? Now, on this show, we've discussed the measure of intelligence as the ability to learn, the curiosity to go out and find, something new, being interested. Hi, kitty girl. Being interested in specific topics. There are a number of ways you can define intelligence, and that's a desire and a spark to continue to increase your ability to learn and know more. That might be one. And inherently, a computer or a program doesn't have that. You can give it to a computer or a program. Well, coming back to why this all matters is these generative adversarial networks. And Marco's talking about disco diffusion. Yeah, that's one. Like you said, there's Midjourney, there's DALL-E Mini. There are a ton. Wombo has been one for a long time. There are Google Deep Dream arguably had some style transfer stuff that was using generative adversarial networks. If you guys remember, a couple of months ago, maybe even last year, we talked a little bit about what NVIDIA was doing. And NVIDIA, if you remember, we were playing around with it and some of you guys were creating art. It was a generative adversarial network that was powering a essentially MS Paint interface. And you could pick a brush with a color, and green would represent land and blue would represent water. And as you just sort of painted abject colors on a canvas, the AI would then try to interpret, what are you doing? If the ground the ground is here and water is here, what is a real life situation where water would be above the ground? Maybe it's a waterfall. And AI would actually take what you were painting and try to turn it into a realistic landscape using its knowledge of what the world looks like and what you potentially could be asking it for. So there are a number of these things out there. But right now, they've gone crazy. They've gone viral. DALL-E, because it will literally try to create anything you ask it. People are really enjoying it. The Discord moderator trail cam, the bottle of ranch testifying at trial. There's a ton out there, and they're hilarious. And they're terrible. And they are taking over the internet right now. So I thought today we'd focus on this topic a little bit. We'd focus on some of the really scary stuff that comes alongside this. And I've got a really cool link and some food for thought and something that you can start using to potentially trip up an AI. Now, why would you want to do that? Well, it's a little dystopian, but we'll end up in that same place. We're going to talk about it. I'm going to play some music to start with. I'm going to give myself a chance to get a post quickly put together, fired up to the blockchain. I'm going to check on all of the streaming places, and then we will move forward with today's show. My name is Crimson Clad. This is CyberBuzz. We'll do a little Hive. We'll do a little tech. We'll do a little synthwave. Some not quite synthwave. And then we'll figure it out from there. All right. So one of the things that I thought I would play today, which is not at all really synthwavy, but also really enjoyable. There is an artist that I really enjoyed called Ghost Data. And I've played some of their tracks on CyberBuzz before. They do some synthwavy stuff. They do some city pop stuff. Frankly, every album is kind of a surprise. Everything's a little bit different. Everything's a little bit new. Everything's, they try it all. And just recently released a brand new track called Good Morning Meowry. Now, I'm assuming this is that, what's her name? That Meowry is a Twitch streamer, right? I'm pretty sure she has orange hair and gigantic titties. And that alone is enough to kind of like elevate her in all of our books. Good looking lady. Big ol' bazongas. She seems nice. I don't know. Enough to at least have some cultural impact on music that's being produced. But yeah, it's kind of like some J-pop, city pop, synthwave kind of thing. It's a good little bop. I'm going to share it with you guys. I'm going to do it here now before all of the hardcore synthwave lovers come in and immediately crucify me. So we'll do that. We'll start the track. Oh, great. Perfect. Excellent. We'll start the track. I'll get some housekeeping stuff done. And then we will come back around and we will have an AI, Hive, community, dystopian dance party kind of day. Right? Good? Okay, let's do this. Good morning, Meowry. On CyberBuzz. Oh. Yeah, there you go. All right, so fun stuff. And I see Who Days there. Oops, sorry. I see a bunch of people are hopping in freckly rage. Me too, man. Summer means that this is all coming back. My name is Crimson Club. Now, you will notice the chat beside me looks really empty. Interestingly enough, plenty of stuff going on over in the Discord. Lots of people chatting. Theta TV, I could see a bunch of people chatting. And in fact, for whatever reason today, the chat connections just shit in a brick. Twitch seems to be the place. Why? I don't know. So, sorry about it, kids. So hopefully if you're chatting in one of those places, it will show up over here. If you're not, then it's going to look like I have nobody hanging out. And you know what? That's whatever. Truth in advertising, right? So I will say that was quite hilarious because I was right. There you go. Here over on the screen, I've made it big just for a second. I can't, wherever. There is the cover art for that particular track. Remember how I said I'm pretty sure Meowery is a streamer who has orange hair and gigantic tits? There she is in all her glory, in anime form. She's back in Pog form. So there you go. Ghost Data, really awesome, fun musician. If you enjoyed that kind of music, go check out the whole discography because it's a lot of fun and it's all kind of got a very, cheeky little vibe. It's a good time, kids. It's a good time. All right, so in the interim, more people are hopping in and some people are playing around with DALL-E. So we started at the beginning of the show, or I started rambling at the beginning of the show about this sort of viral generative adversarial networks. GANs, JANs. I don't know. Is it like a GIF? Who knows? But we'll call it GAN. We'll call it AI for short. It is one of those things where we always love something absurd, don't we? We always love something that will allow us to create something ridiculous. And if you've been following any of these trends, if you've been following any of the places sharing them, what people are doing, not really thinking about properly training the AI. What people are doing are coming up with the absolute most absurd scenarios they can think of. And if you were here for Full Force Radio on Thursday night, then you will know what started it all was somebody asked to generate an image of Paddington Bear in a metal mosh pit. And from there, things kind of spiraled out of control, right? And then it became, Paddington Bear at the Warped Tour and a bunch of things like that. And so from there on out, people have been looking to create the absolute most ridiculous and absurd combinations, images, creations that they could possibly think of. And in some ways, is that the human experience? Is that literally what makes us human? Because I think that's a pretty fair... There you go. Elon Musk riding a rocket through space with a flamethrower. And the interesting thing is, that's generally what you get. The images that you get are roughly that. It is kind of amazing. And actually, on Full Force Radio, Patient Zero and a bunch of other people were entering a bunch of Crimson Clad things. And I bring this up because somebody, I think it was Patient Zero, was like, Crimson Clad dancing with Jean-Claude Van Damme on a metal stage. And yeah, it's smudgy, it doesn't do faces right or whatnot, but somehow it put together that Crimson Clad must be a person and, must have red hair, and it kind of grabbed some Jean-Claude Van Damme dancing. And what came out of that was actually really accurate. When you think about this for a second, the internet is already full of pictures of Elon Musk. It's full of pictures of flamethrowers. It's full of pictures of space. That is one of those prompts that you would think, yeah, that better turn out pretty good, right? Like if you had to ask a computer, go find a picture of space, of Elon Musk, and of a flamethrower, now just kind of smash them together, you'd get a pretty good result. But some of these other things are kind of surprising. And they really do show... that generative adversarial networks work. Now, before the break, we were talking about, what makes AI intelligent? What is intelligence in general? And I started discussing how we thought the best way to train computers would just be to feed them tons and tons of information. But there's a disconnect there. No way, Marco. I refuse to believe that. That's terrible. Oh my gosh. He says if you change Crimson Clad out and you put my actual name in, it still creates a redhead dancing with Jean-Claude Van Damme. Jesus. Oh no. The internet knows. It knows. So, the part of generative adversarial networks that make them adversarial, that's a really interesting term, isn't it? When somebody is adversarial with you. Hey, S.L. Hines. When someone's adversarial with you, they're challenging you, right? Doesn't necessarily mean that you guys are in lockdown, drag out, fight to the death. But it usually means an adversary is an opponent, is a challenger, is someone who might be stopping you and getting in your way, or somebody who might be actively working against you, or even somebody who might be in friendly competition with you. Just means there's somebody who is working in a fashion that you are trying to get around, right? So when we talk about adversarial networks, when we talk about adversarial networks and we talk about, why these matter and why they're important and why they work, what we're really talking about is a network that is constantly challenging itself. And this has become a really important part of AI development in the way that we think about AI as humans. As far as we've gotten with the development of AI, we have learned that it's really important to challenge results, right? We can't just let a computer return something and say, no, I'm sorry, no, that's no good, and then tell it what we want. Is that intelligence? If you are constantly giving someone instructions and they are only performing or only following rules to the letter that you give them, is there any thought or intelligence in what they're doing? And arguably, a lot of us would say, yeah, no. If somebody will only follow the letter of instructions and not the spirit of instructions, we would arguably call them a little dumb. Oh no, Clay. Oh no. But, so what do you do in that case? And for the first parts of AI, and even what we're doing now, the idea of training AI was asking it for something, getting the result, and doing exactly that, saying, nope, that's no good, or yes, that's very good. And then the network would say, okay, I understand. This one was correct. This one was incorrect. I'm going to continue doing things the correct way. And then I'll be more correct more often. That's the way that we have trained AI in the past. But one of the things that we have started doing, and one of the ways that we are chasing through, oh my God, that's terrifying, Felicia Day as a potato. Clay is suggesting that if you ask DALL-E to combine Felicia Day with a potato, you will get me. I want to say that's offensive, but I'm also going to say that some of these kind of look like me. Oh, I'm just a potato. I should be offended by this, but I'm not. I am. If Felicia Day was a potato or just really fat, then I guess that's me. Okay, so thank you, AI. Good to see that intelligence may or may not be there yet. Jesus Christ. So where we've gone from just telling AI that it's wrong and just giving it the answers and telling it, do better next time. We've gone a little bit further than that. The adversarial part of generative adversarial networks is that the computer starts challenging itself. The program starts making choices of which are acceptable and which are not acceptable. And all of a sudden, the network starts choosing branching paths. And the network starts saying, I like this works, this is closer to my set of instructions, I think this is a better interpretation of what I'm trying to do, and will start dropping out different branches that it was exploring. And so arguably, the AI network is constantly improving itself. It's not solely waiting and relying on our feedback to tell it what works and what doesn't work. Generative adversarial networks are constantly refining themselves. They're refining their own algorithm. They're guessing, they're checking, they're testing, and they're interpreting. The more information and outside stimuli they get, they're interpreting that into their own ever-adapting rule set. And that's where things start getting pretty French fried taters. Yikes. We're going to get through a show, I swear. So that's where we're at now. This is where this is starting to trickle down. We are needing more information. We want people to see that this exists. We want to kind of share something that is really, really out there and really, really happening with the world. And how, of course, that has come to come to fruition is in, with the likes of DALL-E, Disco Diffusion, Midjourney, Wombo. If you think back, way back, Wombo started, I'm pretty sure, with that whole thing where you would cut out the face of a person and they would map facial attributes. So, at Christmas time, you could send someone an e-card of your own stupid little face glued on an elf singing Jingle Bells, but, you'd put 3 of your friends in and it'd be so funny because, the crimson-clad elf would end up in a jar of eggnog and the other, the Ron elf would be like, ha ha! This is terrible, right? That's where Wombo started. And you could kind of trace this evolution. You could see where our fascination with letting programs create things for us, you could see how it adapted. Wombo started out there. Then it became, okay, we're going to do more facial mapping. We're going to do filter mapping. We're going to do facial manipulation. So for a while there, the AI, it's not really AI, but the program that really took off was the one that would map your facial area over a known video of someone doing some form of lip syncing or whatever. And so it would be really easy to take Crimson Clad's face and stick it on, run it through Wombo, and suddenly you'd have a still photo of Crimson Clad, but she would be singing, I don't know, she would rickroll you. That was the next evolution of Wombo. And here we are today, now using some of these I don't know, Clay. I mean, the dawn of the internet, every day is a new dawn. So many amazing and terrifying things to find on the internet. So, listen, here we are, half an hour into the show, and I'm still talking about what this is. But there's a reason that I'm going here today. And there's a reason that I'm discussing this specifically. And it may or may not be the one that you think. It might not be it might not be the reason that you expect. And I'm going to share this with you because it's something that came up in my friend group. And we've been discussing this here on CyberBuzz for a long time. Oh my gosh, it's Crimson Clad in the Bone Throne. Holy crap. That is amazing. I love it. I want it. I'm going to print that out and put it on my wall. Holy shit. You see, AI is pretty good, man. All right, so let's just see here. Let me pull this up because I don't have the link handy because I'm a bad DJ. But one of the things we've discussed on this show a lot, and you guys have a lot of opinions on it. I'd love to kind of see them as they come up. I don't even know. I might have to just turf chat today because it's only Twitch. So if you're willing to go over to Twitch to chat, then this might look a little more vibrant, even though Discord is totally fine and everything is connected. Why? I don't know. Mysteries. They're all mysteries, friends. Can we fix it? I don't know. I'll try during the next track. But something we talk about a lot, that we're worried about a lot, is what starts happening when these networks get really, really good? Where does autonomy start and end? Where do we accept that this technology can create fake versions of ourselves? How do we know what's real or fake? And in a lot of cases, especially when we're talking about these networks that are doing things like mapping facial information, it's kind of scary, right? We've talked about this at length. We've had shows where we've discussed things like filters and how fun they are, but how they are also giant adversarial networks that are learning what facial expressions look like, how to track minute details in the subconscious movements that we make and what that actually relates to in terms of human emotion. That does things like create databases full of facial features. And you now have services like This Person Does Not Exist, which if you've ever looked up, there's quite a few now. This person does not exist. This cat does not exist. And that is a service where for the longest time it's been fed so much information about human faces that it can just randomly create a brand new face because it's seen so many. It knows now. Eyes roughly go here, noses roughly go here. The dimensions of a face mostly look like this. Some people might have glasses. There are different colors. And it basically says, I know enough that I can imagine a new human. But why does it know enough? Cameras, surveillance, and facial tracking, facial recognition, this is all stuff that we've talked about as being pretty dystopian and pretty fucking terrifying, right? On this show, we've talked about facial tracking and how cameras are so good now that they can scan, say, a store. They can see multiple people inside that store, can follow different people simultaneously and build profiles on them. It can, take a look at their mood. It can try and record a bunch of biometrics. It can see and interpret what they are doing. So, we had an example not that long ago, you guys might remember, where security cameras could start just actively flagging people and saying, hey, I think this person is stealing. I think that person is peeing in the back of the store. P.S. That person's really happy. Maybe upsell them. Like, it's terrifying when you really start thinking about this. Ads with cameras that look back that will project the ad to wherever your eyes are looking. Things that understand your mood, your outfit, maybe can make some basic interpretations because I walk by and I'm wearing a metal shirt. The ad or the targeted sort of information that gets fired off to me is based on what is being pulled, image data that it understands. I'm a metalhead and also I look really happy today. Therefore, maybe it will try to, sell me a beer brewed by a monomarth because I look like I'm having a good day. Metalhead and I'm unhappy? Okay, well, it's going to try and send me to, I don't know, metalhead rehab. I don't fucking know. But this is something that we've talked about on the show before. And as crazy as it sounds, it's already happening. We already know that surveillance data, especially cameras, filters, phones, selfies, Instagram, all of these things are pulling information. They're feeding networks and they're being collected. And this is something that we don't necessarily spend enough time thinking about. And often on this show, it comes up and we're pretty terrified. We're pretty terrified by this. Maybe? I don't know. Maybe not terrified enough. Maybe too terrified. But so knowing that right now there are a number of crazy giant networks that are learning from our images, whether we like it or not. Maybe someone else is posting images of you on Facebook and that's being scraped. Maybe you were at a public event and there are cameras that scan the crowd that wanted to take record of everybody at that public event. There are versions of you, images of you, out there on the internet. And most services that exist are out there specifically trying to get your content. They want you to become an Instagram influencer. They want you to post a cute selfie of you and your dog to Twitter. Even on Hive, any of these places where you are voluntarily committing image data to the internet, somebody somewhere is collecting that and using it. Pair that with a general adversarial network, things get a little scary. So I found some stuff that I want to talk to you guys about and some programs that I think are really interesting, but I'm going to put it after a song break. So we got to try and get some synthwave in here. It's a chill, cool day. I see a lot of people are hanging out all over the different streams. I don't know why the chat looks so sad. I'll fix it for next week. But in the meantime, let's play a little bit more music. I want to play you a new track, FM Attack, Vandal Moon. Very cool. It's called Cry, Cry, Cry. I'm going to put this in your ear holes today for CyberBuzz, and I've got more music for you. So we'll head more into the actual synthwave genre. The city pop we've done, and we'll do some other stuff too. But cry, 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 because you know what? The AI knows what that emotion is too. And Acid is here. That's exciting. Been a while, my dear. All right, so we're talking about fooling viral AI. We're talking about generative adversarial networks in a dystopian future. We'll talk a little bit about Hive stuff in the second half of the show. And otherwise, we will just hang out here, and I will try my best to entertain you, even though there's only a few of you today. You may be few, but you are mighty. Cry, cry, cry on CyberBuzz Radio. All right, there you go. So, some Vandal Moon, FM Attack, fantastic Vancouver boy, actually, FM Attack. My name is Crimson Clad, and oh, new Blinkies, because Kitty Girl is queen of the Blinkies. She always makes me such cool stuff for my shows. I appreciate you, Kitty Girl. You are an absolute treasure around Hive, and in general. Not just in a blockchain sense. So the rest of you are fabulous also, and I love ya. So Acid, it's good to see you. I heard a little rumor that you might finally come to Hive Fest, so I will recognize you, I hope. and we could finally have a drink together. I hope you're having a fabulous time. So here's the deal. Before the break and in the first half of the show, we've been talking a little bit about viral AI. We've been talking about generative adversarial networks, where they came from, why we love them so much, all of the hilarious dumb shit that we're doing with them. But we've also been discussing a little bit what makes proper artificial intelligence, what makes an adversarial network adversarial, and is specifically, why could this be a bad thing? Why? Acid, I've seen a photo of you before. You literally showed me a photo of you. But okay, maybe I won't. Maybe you've had some kind of like facial reconstruction / I don't know what. Maybe you're in witness protection, and that's fine. Whatever. I'll pretend not to know you. That some people pay extra for that. But so here's the deal. Before the break, I was talking a little bit about some of the crazy dystopian ways that facial recognition and AI going hand in hand, a little scary. And this is a topic that comes up a lot on the show. But I thought I would show you something that I think is really, really interesting. And it's called a tool called Fawkes. Now, of course, if you've been around the internet, and I know most of you guys have, the Neenernet crew, the Neenernet crew, if you've been around, then you probably know that the Guy Fawkes mask, obviously V for Vendetta blew it up, Anonymous adopted it, and now it's kind of like people who want to stay anon on the internet do kind of identify with this symbol. And so the tool was named in reference to that. The idea that people, whether they are plotting treason or whether they are just protecting their identity to make it easier for them to act against a centralized entity, or the idea that just everyone on the internet kind of looks and feels the same because you never know who's behind a mask. The Fawkes mask it's become pretty important. It's become pretty synonymous with the internet in general. So the idea of naming a tool after that, especially one that is designed to help you confuse and hide from facial recognition, generative adversarial networks that work with facial data, is very interesting. So I'm going to share a couple of links with you guys, kind of to set the grounds with this. And you may or may not have seen this. And it's very interesting and very terrifying because there was sort of a piece that discussed this way back in the day. And you may have missed it because it's from 2020 and 2020 was a disaster. 2020 was a shit show. We were caught up in our own stuff. And so a lot of things were disclosed in 2020 because the hope was we wouldn't notice. And in a lot of cases, we didn't. So I want to share with you something called Clearview AI. Now, you may or may not have seen this, but it scares the crap out of me. The language around this. They're specifically talking about it. They call it Clearview consent. Building a secure world, one face at a time. Highly accurate, affordable, bias-free facial recognition to verify customer commercial entities and prevent fraud. Cutting-edge technology for law enforcement to investigate crimes. Advanced AI to make us safer and more secure wherever we live, learn, work, and travel. Now, they're trying to pretend that this is a consensual thing. They've specifically turned their wording, their talking points, their pitch deck, they've specifically started using words like consent, like safety, like, bias-free, all of these things to make you feel a little more comfortable. But the truth of the matter is, Clearview AI already exists. It's already working. It is a giant AI network that has been trained with, honest to God, roughly 3 billion images by 2020. 2020, this AI had already consumed, without asking, without consent, without most people's knowledge at all. This AI was trained on over 3 billion images, and I guarantee you some of those images were yours. If there's ever, Facebook, probably 90% of it. You're right. Instagram, blogs, MySpace, Flickr. Think of all, or Flickr? Is that Jesus, Flickr. I'm thinking of the bird now. What's Oh my God, what is the, not 500px? There was an image one as well. I don't know. There was a time where every app just like dropped ER and put an R on the end. Doesn't matter. Think about this for a second. No, not Twitter, patient zero. I'm pretty sure it was like Flick R, and it was sort of like, yeah, exactly. There you go. That was a whole time. The internet's over that now, but bear with me here. Most people didn't really hear about this, and I don't always love to reference the New York Times because a lot of what they post is hyperbolic or very specifically manipulative or whatever. But I want to throw this out there for you. And now all of a sudden, it's only sending the chat to Discord. What is happening? Jesus Christ. But this was published in 2020. And this was sort of the first call out of this company saying, hey, you may or may not realize this, but Clearview AI non-consensually has been collecting this data. They're an incredibly secretive company. They were unregulated. They had absolutely no oversight. They downloaded them from social media and they built facial recognition models and using them very specifically to create invasive monitoring tools. And it helped them kind of really step forward in AI learning, deep learning, machine learning. And, this is one of those things. Should this be something that is regulated? Is this... Yeah, well, here's the deal, Acid. That AI that lets you generate fake faces. You came in, we talked about this just before the break, so you've kind of missed this. But here's the deal. That AI very specifically is as good as it is because of deep learning, like what Clearview was doing. These things go hand in hand. You can't trip one up without the other becoming more powerful. And that's quite scary. Ron has shared a tweet that's hilarious. The AI art thing is fake. I'm the guy who has to draw all the requests, like the chess player inside the Mechanical Turk. You're torturing me. I spend every waking hour drawing shit like Joe Biden Asuka wedding and Donkey Kong Nuremberg trials. Please stop. I need to sleep. We're already doomed. Well, Acid, that's my point, because this show, we focus on dystopian tech. We talk about these beautiful, wonderful, incredible things, the great potentials of them, the awesome and fascinating, interesting things that come, but all of the pitfalls that also exist. And so that's why I'm bringing this up. I'm not bringing this up to scare you about things that understanding your face and whatnot. I want to share this tool with you because it's very, very cool. I want to copy an image here and I'm going to drop it in chat. And I want to show you something here. Here's an image of a nice man. And I'm sorry for those of you who won't see it, who won't necessarily see it on the overlay. Let's just see, do I have a browser screen? I don't know that I do. I don't think I do. Do I? I do. Okay, well, so this is unhelpful, but let's do this. So here's an image of just a random guy. It's very small. I'm sorry, I pulled it from a small source, but we're looking at it on the screen. Here's an image of a guy. Now, what if I told you there was a way for you to grab this image and actually cloak it from AI? And that's where this is going. So here is a version. Yes, you're right. It is a big assumption. He could be very mean. Here's a second version of that image. Now, to you, I don't know if these images look very different at all. Maybe they don't. Here's the second image. So I've put that up on the screen now. I tell you what, they don't look very different. I'm going to try and flip back and forth. 270, 180. I'm making them two different sizes so you could tell. So here you go. These are the two different images. Do they look very different to you? What if I told you that this image, the first one, the bigger one, that's one that an AI could use to learn a lot about you because it's just an image of you. The second image has been cloaked, has been poisoned, has been edited, has been changed in a way specifically designed to fool facial recognition. Now, on this show before, we have discussed things like cool patterned makeup that kids in, tech cities have been doing to help confuse cameras and facial trackers, and it started off as a very digital and very technological reason for creating this and became a form of expression as well. We've talked about, how do you cover your face, this, that, and the other thing. But this is a fascinating new idea. What if we could still live in a world where there is mass data surveillance, mass networks are grabbing everything from images to facts to text. Deep learning is creating profiles on every single person. You would be a fool to think that all of the social networks that exist now, like Facebook, like Instagram, like any of these apps that you use, whether they're from the government or a specific company, a lot of these are collecting information on you and they're building a profile on you. And, in some cases, it's not necessarily because, the government is going to come and, create a body double for you in the night and switch you out because you've been practicing wrong think. But do you want to be manipulated like that? Do you want a profile that's so accurate that it can, predict and start manipulating your emotions, your feelings, selling you things, changing relationships between you and corporate entities or you and your government? It would be very foolish to think that some of this data collection and some of the ways these AI is being used is specifically to try and influence how you feel about politics, about global issues, about a soft drink that they want to pump into your body. It's kind of scary. So in this case, now, how do we keep using these services we love? How do we keep enjoying this internet that exists where we share photos, we connect over the content we create? How do we start doing that? And how do we make sure that we're not just pouring more information into these networks? Well, that's this tool. And that's what I want to share with you guys. It's very interesting. And I've started using it. I don't post a lot of photos of myself, but unfortunately, the reality is when I am a live streamer, you guys often, you're not reading Crim's mind. She literally told you the name of, she literally told you the name of the program and that it's a useful tool for this. But I am a little transparent. So good man. So here's the deal. I'm a live streamer, and this has been a hard thing for me because that was never my intent. When I started, especially socially in the blockchain, I wasn't using social media a lot. Now, every day, you could probably train an AI to make a crimson clad. It probably wouldn't be that difficult, would it? No, probably not. It's unfortunate, but it's the truth. There's enough information out there. But I am trying to do my very best to make sure that when I am putting photos especially out there, I am using this tool. So take a look at this. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to drop it in here as well. This is a fascinating tool. And it works in a very subtle and simple way. And the idea here is that Fawkes will create this cloaked image of you. It will change minute pixels. It will poison, essentially. It will poison image data. Now, this has been around for a couple years. It's just one of those things where every time something else goes viral, every time one of these new topics comes up, it gives us a good reminder that we need to... It's a good reminder that we need to think about this stuff. Maybe you don't want to, but it's an important aspect of your life. So this tool is really cool. I would argue that you should check it out. How do we protect ourselves against unauthorized third parties building facial recognition models that recognize us wherever we may go? Regulations can and will help restrict the use of machine learning by public companies, but will have negligible impact on private organizations, individuals, or even other nation states. Wow. Maybe it's been a while. Maybe we're so eager now to travel because we've been locked down for years, or we're so eager to, we've been working from home for so long that we want to become a digital content creator. We don't want to go back to work. There are so many things that after the last couple years are driving us back to using the internet and using big social media networks and using images of ourselves, whether it's out in the world or if it's here on the internet. There are so many things that are driving us back to this. It is not invaluable to have tools like this to just say, okay, well, I'll keep doing what I'm doing, but I'm not going to make it easy for, these profiles for any reason to somebody to create on me. So yeah, this is interesting. And Kitty Girl, you make a great point. You're like, okay, so the AI now is probably going to develop ways to break this cloaking and continue learning. And then the Fawkes crew will improve and the AI will break that. Well, here's an interesting thing, because earlier last year, the reality is that is exactly what happened. Interestingly enough, a whistleblower came to the Fawkes team and said, hey, guess what? Microsoft actually has a facial recognition platform. A lot of people don't realize that. It's called Microsoft Azure. Sounds really nice. Azure is like a pretty blue color. Okay. Well, Microsoft Azure is specifically a facial recognition platform. And they went out of their way to try to figure out how to get around Fawkes cloaking. And they actually started using Fawkes images to try to make their facial recognition better. Now, they don't know why. The Fawkes team said this: we're unclear as to why this was done, since Microsoft, to the best of our knowledge, does not build unauthorized models from public facial images. Nor have we received any communication from Microsoft on this. However, we feel it's important for our users to know of this development. We made a major update to the tool to circumvent this change and others like it. Please download the newest version of Fawkes below. So this is fascinating. And it is absolutely 1,000%. Go fish. They've got a bunch of different platforms. And I wouldn't be surprised, Clay, if some of this AI and some of this blockchain, these global identities, all sorts of weird, crazy shit that Microsoft wants to bring to fruition. I wouldn't be surprised if they were all linked under one very sort of, pretty color name. I wouldn't be even the slightest bit surprised. So I wanted to bring this up because it seemed like a good time. I know a lot of people didn't know a lot about this happening around the internets, and we're in an arms race. We're in a deep learning arms race now. But in a world where we value content creation, we value, in a lot of cases, digital images of ourselves. And, it's so easy to go like, oh, I hate Instagram influencers. And, oh my God, this person's Twitter feed is all just super vain selfies. I get it. But on the flip side, we've never been more able to communicate with people we love and share ourselves with people we love over distance, whether it's family, whether it's friends we've never met. There are a myriad of reasons why you might share images of yourself on the internet, from 1 to 1,000 to 1,000,000. And that's fine. If you're mindful about why you're doing it and it brings you some sort of benefit, that's great. But how do you start thinking about some of these other potentially scary things? And where do you live your life the way you want to live it, but also be mindful of how crazy disruptive technology is getting? You can do both. Fawkes is one of those things. So hopefully you guys think that's interesting. But just the more this week, as we've been learning more about DALL-E and Midjourney and all of these sort of text-based prompts, it won't be very long before, the big version of DALL-E is released and some of these other things. And if you think this is crazy, look at some of these prompts that specifically ask, is Fawkes sponsoring the show? I wish. Give me your money. I'm poor. I tell you, live streaming just for fun and for pleasure and for your friends and community, no dinero, kids. So with that being said, the reason that I kind of bring this up is because if you have been paying attention to these DALL-E, the funniest ones out there are taking a public person, right, and putting them in a bizarre situation. And, like David Attenborough riding a triceratops, he's just a schmear face. But, if you go out there and you ask for a specific celebrity, there are enough images that even the baby version of this AI is producing. Yeah, I know who that is. That does kind of look like Elon Musk. Yeah, that does kind of look like Jim Carrey. You know what? Yeah, that is Felicia Day, except her nose isn't a nose. It's just a weird piece of potato skin. It's already enough that these AI can make roughly, and these are the ones that you get to play with, that are available to everyone out on the internet are not the amazing ones. The deep fakes and the things like that we've already started seeing, they can just kind of guess at a specific person's face and create an image that never existed. You know, it won't be long before this can happen to everyone and anyone. So you don't necessarily have to be super scared, but it's worth thinking about. And I find this fascinating. I find this kind of thing absolutely fascinating. So, you know, with these AI now specifically, where people are, you know, typing in their friends' names and like, I want to see Rondon fight Muhammad Ali on top of the Great Pyramid of Giza. You know, it's funny, it's hilarious, it's jokey. It's also a little bit scary. So while we're at it, kitty girl, that is amazing. That's literally a kitty girl. Oh, Lord. All right, so everything's coming up because, of course, this is a viral topic right now. My name's Crimson Clad. If you've stuck with through the first half of the show, good for you. Maybe this was interesting. Maybe this was super boring. Hopefully you found it at least mildly entertaining. I hope you try out some of the stuff, but I am going to play you guys some more music now. So I've already played some FM Attack. I've played some Ghost Data. You guys know that I love an artist called Fawkes. And just recently, a new album was put out, and it's called In Search of Tomorrow. And it is they're calling it the definitive sci-fi documentary soundtrack. Now, you know, not all synthwave is, you know, super deep space sci-fi, high science fiction. But most synthwave has ties back to, you know, a cyber techno punk aesthetic, something that does feel like science fiction, whether it's future technology, retro future vibes, Blade Runner-esque neo-noir, you know, whatever. There's a lot of sci-fi that inherently goes hand in hand with synthwave. You know, if it's not the 80s, then it's absolutely the 80s, except lasers, but in space, and also everyone has a flying car. That's kind of the synthwave vibe. So this compilation, or whatever you want to call it, In Search of Tomorrow, it's really good, and a ton of new synthwave tracks are being released that are going to be part of this sort of compilation album. High five, very much recommended. Everything off it is amazing. And of course, the cover is indeed a DeLorean with lightning in front of a rising moon across the fucking pink neon cyberpunk sky. Some guy that kind of looks like you know, what's his face? Is it Kurt Russell in Big Trouble in Little China? You know, where he's wearing the white beater and the tight jeans, and he's rocking a little bit of a mullet. That whole vibe. Got a gun. The ground is on fire, hopping into a DeLorean. That's the general vibe. So I'm going to play you a track called Gateway by Fawkes, and I suspect over the next couple weeks, I will be playing a lot of tracks off this album. But after we come back, we'll be in the second half of the show. I promise we will move away from the AI stuff. So if you're already pissing your pants, great. If you thought this was stupid, great. If you've literally spent this entire time just picking out the things I said and entering them into DALL-E, like Ron fighting Muhammad Ali on top of the Pyramid of Giza, or literally have just been training the AI to make more pictures of me in a bone throne, but I'm a potato and I'm also Felicia Day, that's fine too. I'm going to play you a longer track here. I'm going to get some hydration into my body. There is Crimson Clad in a Fawkes mask. It literally looks like Carrot Top, but it also kind of looks like me. Is that terrifying? Yes. Is it accurate? Yes. Here we are. What a fucking world we live in. Dystopian technology A++. When we come back from the break, I want to kind of pick your guys' brains about... I want to pick you guys' brains about some topics around Hive, maybe. I don't know. Sometimes that gets the most reactions and the most interactions. Sometimes people are like, ooh, yuck, and peace out. So we'll talk a bit about that. And then, yeah, just music, just fun, just chill stuff, just life. You know, CyberBuzz. Let's do it. Gateway by Fawkes. All right. There you go, man. So, Gateway by Volcore X, a longer track, super good, very meditative and floaty and spacey and all the good things that we like in our synthwave. Hi, Cider Junkie, and hi, everybody else. Oh, I look good today. Thank you. All I did was tuck my shirt in. I'm rocking kind of the nerdy look. You know, interestingly enough, I haven't worn my choker in a couple shows because I took it traveling with me and I can't find it now, which I feel naked. But my head hasn't dropped off yet. You know, it hasn't fallen off my neck. So I guess I actually am mostly human. Who knew? I'll order another one off Etsy. So welcome. It's CyberBuzz Radio. Today's been a really fun one. I see a lot of people are watching over on the Vim stream, which is really cool. Hey, dudes. Theta, Trovo are also options for you. You can watch on Twitch. The Twitch chat is one of the only ones that's really working very well today. And of course, you can listen on mspwaves.com because of course, radio comes best when you put it in your ears at high quality. So pick, choose, decide, hang out in the Discord, do what you want to do. It's a free country. I'm not your dad. I mean, it could be. You might never know. I'm not casting aspersions on your mama, but she's looking real good. Tell her I said so. And so here we are today. We've been talking a lot about a bunch of stuff, but largely today we've been focused on the fact that AI is everywhere. AI, deep learning, machine learning is changing a lot of our disruptive tech. And with that being said, obviously what goes viral and what we're fascinated by is often the ridiculous. And so, of course, what's making the rounds now is DALL-E Mini, which you're seeing a lot of this on the internet. The Mid Journey as well is another one. Disco Diffusion is another. Wombo, Google Deep Dream. This person does not exist. There are a ton of different versions of machine learning and generative adversarial networks out there. Open Canvas by NVIDIA. A ton of these networks that are essentially just constantly learning from themselves, constantly learning from the prompts that people want to see, and constantly going out and collecting data and refining their own processes. It is wild what's possible. And so we've kind of taken the journey where we tracked how this has evolved, why this is used, you know, how it can be fun, how it can be scary. And just before the break, we were talking more about facial recognition, and we were talking a lot about profiling and how kind of pairing this facial recognition data with biometric data, with consumer data, with app data. And in a lot of cases, just stuff that we don't think about, that we just put on the internet. Maybe we're sharing it on Hive, stories about ourselves, places we love traveling, foods we like to eat, people that we're aligned with. There are lots of places consensually where we are sharing information in text and in images. And so before the break, I was talking a little bit about Clearview AI and some of the other big, deep, giant networks that are going out and are pulling information and are building, recognizing and profiling, you know, an entire network of information that literally just connects to your face. And some of the good ways, some of the bad ways that can be used. And so how do we keep enjoying, this is very something about Mary. Hey, I'm just, if you're watching the video stream, I went to pull I always fiddle with my hair and I try to stop it and I notice myself doing it, but it's habitual. But sometimes I do it and you get this whole thing, this whole something about Mary jizz spike going on. I do not have jizz in my hair. I'm just a little greasy. It is what it is. I can't control my hair. Deal with it. But yeah, so talking about this, you know, we're like, okay, well, so what are some options? How do you keep enjoying this crazy realm of content creation, of image sharing, of communication, and all of the things that kind of make the internet really interesting, especially in a world where Web3 is becoming really important. Although if you saw what Jack's saying, I mean, we're basically moving straight to like Web 69, or Web 8 or Web 7 or Web 2000. I don't fucking know. I'm not sure. Web, but the symbol of the artist formerly known as Prince. Here's the deal. You know, we are moving rapidly towards a world where we want to be able to share things across different networks, where we want information that we upload, that we store. We want it to be there. We want it to be immutable. We want to take it from place to place, from network to network, from app to app, from service to whatever. We want to build services and communities and, monetary aspects of our lives in a way that nobody owns and that benefit us. Well, the problem is if nobody owns it, who gets to use it? Well, we know key holders. Key holders get to control what happens with some of this information. But the ledger is always visible. So here we are. We're moving into a space where we are encouraging people to keep doing what they're doing, but to actually do it more and to put these things not on a private server or not, we are actually encouraging people to feed more information onto the internet and to do it in a way where everyone can see, gather, use, manipulate that information. This is the dream of someone who is building a better AI, for sure, for sure. So in any case, that's how we got here. We talked a little bit about Fawkes. We talked about this very specific program that you can download, you can run on your PC, you can put all of your images that you plan to put up on the internet, you can run it through that, and Fawkes will poison them. Fawkes will go out of its way to create small digital changes in these images of faces to make it so that facial recognition deep learning can't build a profile on you that easily, even though there might be two different images of your face and they're both clearly you. To a program that is looking at pixels and is looking at, an image as a program, this has done something to that image to confuse the AI. It's fantastic. But as a human who wants to look at it, you guys want to see two images of me knitting a tea cozy from two different angles. It's going to look fine to you. But to an AI that's trying to learn about me so it can sell me more yarn to make me knit more tea cozies so I can use a service that I pay a fee on each one instead of just selling them business to business, can't do it very easily. So with all that being said, we've actually been talking about this for an hour and a half, and I'm sure most of you are bored to ever-loving tears, and that's fine. So coming up towards the sort of last 40 minutes of the show or so, I did kind of want to touch on some Hive stuff, and there's a lot going on, and it's been awesome behind the scenes, moving towards the next hard fork and the release of Half what Block Trades is working on, and really encouraging some of the dApps that are there. They're maybe not new, but some people are starting to build really beautiful new stuff. Finally, geez, I know, Acid, and I don't actually have anything valuable to say, so you're probably going to let me start talking and then you're just going to leave, and that's fine, whatever. But just doing a lot of work to kind of get some of these dApp builders feeling more connected to the community and helping more people start building things that realistically, we should be talking about. We should be helping get out there. Hive is amazing in many, many ways. And people get really mad when I don't shill Hive in a way that says, pump my bags, go out. I want you to buy a lot of this coin. And it's not the way that I expected. Yes, there's lots of things that Half is going to do. And it is a perfect fit with the rest of the ecosystem. As we've seen, Hive Engine, Deluxe, and all of these other solutions. I mean, Clyde's EVM, what the fuck ever happened with that? Clyde, get your shit together. We need more EVMs. But these are all things that work in tandem. Hive Engine, there is really nothing that will be better, faster, and easier than something like a turnkey solution. I want to go to Hive Engine and I want to be like, can I have a token? And they will be like, yes. And you'll be like, neat. And now you have a token. But for a lot of people, that's not going to work. Some people are really fiddly. They want to work with every parameter. They want to run a node. They want to have all this shit going on. They go to Deluxe and they start fucking around with that. And then, you've got Block Trades now putting together the Half system, which will really change the way that people pull data. It will make it so much easier to pull data from the blockchain, to put information into the blockchain. And so the joke, I'm sure you guys have heard Block Trades say this, and I love Block Trades. And every time he says it out loud, it makes me cackle uncontrollably, where he says Half, the Hive application framework, does half the work for you. It's the worst dad joke I've ever heard. And no matter what, it makes me laugh every time. But so the reality is this is cool. There's some really cool stuff coming down the pipe. And, if you were at the last Hive Fest, and you were there. Yeah, I know, it's fucking terrible. It's so bad. Block trades is awful, and I love it. Never stop saying it. But we will laugh at you. But you're laughing too. It's great. So if you were there at the last Hive Fest, it was virtual. And one of the things that I talked about, I was there and I was speaking on behalf of NFT Showroom, which really, I mean, I'm a small cog in a driven machine by a cool team of like half the people here in chat right now. But one of the things that I focused on was talking about C words around the blockchain. And if you remember that talk, or maybe you don't, the Coles notes was there are a lot of C words on Hive, and they are very valuable. They are the things that have kind of set us in motion and allowed these last couple of years to continue to grow and to build this strong ass foundation. Because here we are, once again in a bear market, projects are dying off left and right. Things are falling apart, giant gaping holes. Clay says there's a lot less C words on Hive than there were on Steam. And you know what? Lots of people still think of that C word. But one of the joys of that particular C word is you're still welcome on Hive. Not everybody will listen to you. You might not even be shown on all front ends, but at the end of the day, you can be the biggest C word you want. You can use the blockchain for C word related activities. It's all consensual, which is a great C word. But I was talking a little bit about, well, I mean, yeah, Crimson Clad, that's a C word. But no, community, collaboration, and cooperation. And then competition on top of that. Those were the big ones. Collaboration and cooperation, really important. It's an open source blockchain. It is an interconnected network where community starts out at one dApp. And as soon as they get their wallet and as soon as they get excited and they use that dApp, all of a sudden that same, that same name, that same wallet, that same address, that same identity now unlocks an entire ecosystem for them. So maybe they came in to play, they came in to play Splinterlands, but they ended up tokenizing an NFT on NFT Showroom. And then they thought, now that I've done both those things, I need to feed my addiction. So I'm going to actually jump in and I'm going to start moderating, community content on the blogging side of things. And actually, I don't understand DeFi very well. I'm scared of it. So you know what? I'm just going to buy some HBD and, sit on it. And rather than trust a smart contract or go out and trust an intermediary platform, or rather than use a DeFi style liquidity pool solution where I have to trust somebody else, I'm just going to hold on to my keys. I'm going to sit on this stablecoin and I'm going to earn interest. All of those things might have grown from just a passing glance and being like, ooh, I like card games. Cool. That's the magic of Hive. And so that's kind of what I talked about last year, even though I was talking about NFT Showroom. And so there have been some discussions this year. People, now that Hive Fest we know is going to happen in person, there's been some discussions of, talks. What are talks going to look like this year? Knowing that it's not quite as much time, there's not quite as much of a runway going into this, and knowing that not everything can always be a dry, he's still around, believe it or not. He's just less interested. So that's okay. That's good, maybe in some ways. So, not everything can be a dry technical talk. And sometimes you need those. You love those. There are some reasons why Hive Fest should be, in both cases, the technical dApp forward, very sort of, here's what we built, here's why it's cool kind of talks. But one of the things that I think needs to start happening, and that sort of murmurings have been presented to me, and I'm now mulling over whether or not it's something I want to tackle, is how do we talk about Hive, not even in a hype way, but in a way that discusses it without actually having to do with technological advancements. Now, I'm not saying we're not referencing it, but instead of getting up there and reading this long ass list of what's been built over the last few years, because a lot has. We're up to, I don't know, something like 160 dApps minimum, and, crazy changes in the way that we are making sure that scalability works. On a wider scale, nobody cares about this. The crypto space is a hype game space. And what we're seeing is hype only lasts so long. Wow. Holy Mr. Tiny Corn Dog. I feel like I haven't seen you in ages. I just want to remind you that I do frickin' love your name, because it's just the tiniest little corn dog. Lord. But yeah, so this is one of those things where, hype, we've learned hype eventually runs out. But Hive doesn't even have anything that falls in that even a middling category. And so it's something that I thought I wanted to talk about potentially a little bit this year, and whether or not you guys or people around Hive would be interested in a talk like that. Something that would be very much what like I do here on CyberBuzz every week, or, when I do talks with other podcasters, or when I do AMAs, or when I do conference talks, would that be something that you think would be enjoyable or that you'd be interested in? Or is there something that you'd like to hear kind of approached from that angle at Hive Fest coming up? Because I will be there. I'll be in Amsterdam, and hopefully we'll be doing a lot of live streaming and some cool stuff. But the more that I think about this, we don't really do a lot of celebrating. We don't do a lot of talks that really come back around to, we are a community-based blockchain. And, yes, we can absolutely check off that we built this, because that simply hasn't drawn any attention, which is fucking insane. So is there an approach where we start talking about C words again, but rather than being there on behalf of my own project or being there on behalf of somebody else's project, just a talk that really gets down to all of the C words that make Hive tick? Now, the last time that I did this, like I said, cooperation, collaboration, competition, and community. Those are the big things that have made Hive so successful. But how do you build on that? And one of the topics that I wanted to talk on, and consider yourself a tester. There is another C word, and it's a dirty C word. It's a horrible C word. It's a C word that when you say it out in the world, and especially now, and especially in a decentralized Web3 space, when you say this C word, people get really uncomfortable. People don't like it. They don't like it. And believe it or not, it's not the one you're thinking of. I'm talking about consumer or customer. People, this word is a scary fucking word. We all, half of the internet is just fucking commies now. Everybody they say they're absolutely against anything to do with capitalism, another big C word. And in Web3 especially, everyone is talking about person to person, identities and relationships. And, there's a lot of hustle that goes alongside things like the NFT game. That's a space for sure where the idea of a customer or a consumer, there's still a connection there. But whether or not we like it, everything that is built on top of Hive that isn't monetary focused really does have a target consumer or a target customer. And to bring people to build on Hive, thinking about what you can offer a customer is a valid thing. Whether or not that's you as a blog writer, whether or not that's you as a project manager, whether that's you as a developer who's starting a new project, maybe it's literally just somebody who, found the blockchain and doesn't even want an account, but they might just maybe sometimes read or look at the pretty pictures. These are all forms of consumers or customers. And we don't spend a lot of time thinking about how to please those people or what we offer those people. And one of the most fun things that never happens, or maybe happens too much around the blockchain, and this is all blockchains and not just Hive, is that we find solutions and then we look for problems to fucking cram those solutions into. We know blockchain's great, and we want to attach blockchain to everything because we love blockchain. So therefore, you know what? I heard you like blockchain. I'm going to put a blockchain in your blockchain so you can blockchain while you blockchain. We know that doesn't work either, right? That doesn't build great experiences. That doesn't bring people and make them enjoy or learn or engage. And so this is something that I'm thinking about. And I know a lot of you guys don't care. And I appreciate that you are listening anyways. But for me, this is something that I've... Hi, Chan Parmar, thank you for the follow. I feel like you're over on Theta, and you might actually be my 100th follower on Theta. Maybe not. No, you're not on Theta. Where are you? Maybe you are. I don't know. Fuck. How did I get here? Who put this pudding in my pants? Oh, God. Don't cock block me. I'm not. I have a topic that I have to discuss, sir. Calm your, I was going to say calm your tits. Unrustle your jimmies. Down, little dog. I don't know. Pick one. But so here's the deal. Thank you for kind of like exploring this with me, or at least tuning in or out, depending. Calm your corn dog. That's right. But so, I mean, I know a lot of you guys don't care about this, but I value, hey, John, I value that many of you are Hive users and many of you are like core key community members around Hive. And we haven't seen a lot of this at places like Hive Fest. And I thought, either this is a great idea or nobody's done this specifically because it's a stupid idea. So do you think that something like this would be valuable to you, especially coming up and going into Amsterdam and knowing that a lot of the topics and the talks and the things that we do there often relate to dApps and services, which is really cool. We like hearing about new dApps, new services, new games, new innovations, what's happening at the tech, what are the core values, what are the community doing? It's a party, it's a learning opportunity, but is it time to start talking more about some of these more philosophical ideas or, aspects of Web 2 or something that kind of still harkens back to what's happening on the web as a whole? How do we take those sort of connections and talk about them in relation to Hive? I don't know. Nobody cares. Okay, fair enough. All right, nobody cares. So let me just put that in your mind. For those of you who may see this well before I see you at Hive Fest, I am debating after, a bunch of people asking, will I speak? I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking about it in terms of whether or not that will be a dApp thing or whether or not it'll be about NFT Showroom or whether or not it'll be as, from the perspective of a consensus witness or, a teacher or an advocate of cryptocurrency and blockchain technology. I don't know. But one of the things that I keep coming back to is that we don't have a lot of talks that are celebratory, and we don't have a lot of talks that just, that specifically kind of say, well, what are the things we should be thinking about everybody? And things that we kind of shy away from because we're different as a blockchain. But what are these things that we all kind of have in common? Speak at Splinterfest. I am actually going to Splinterfest. I don't really play Splinterlands. I'm not part of the Splinterlands team. I'm just going because I want to show support, and also all my friends are there. So, all right, I'm going to leave it at that because I think I have now kind of descended into territory that no one cares about. So if it is something that you're interested in, or there is something either you'd like to see me speak at Hive Fest, or there's a topic that you'd like to see explored, or whatever, or there's someone you'd like me to chase down and encourage to speak at Hive Fest, then let me know. Send me a message and I will do my best. Okay, so forget it. Let's move on and let's go back to synthwave. So I played you guys that Volcore X track. It was great. It's off a great new album. A++ would play again. So I did promise you guys some more new synthwave releases. And so I want to play you something by a band I really love called Makeup and Vanity Set. And Makeup and Vanity Set, thank God everybody's chatting over on Twitch now, because at least over here looks really busy instead of just down here. I'm Tiny Corn Dog. I don't even know if he's from Hive. He just shows up sometimes. I love it because he's just like, blockchain! Yes! That's right. That's the attitude. Good man. Okay, so I'm going to play you a track from Makeup and Vanity Set, and they have been doing, a lot of different stuff over the last couple years. I always play you guys stuff off an album from 2012, but they have been doing TV show soundtracks, they've been doing movie soundtracks, they've been doing video game soundtracks. They've really been exploring sound production as a whole. And well, that's been good. It doesn't always fit into like the synthwave vibe that I want for this show. Well, they just released a new single, and the single has 2 tracks on it, Sentinels and Mind Sync. And it goes right back to everything I love about their music. So I am going to play you a track called Mind Sync, which I'm sure in some ways is me picking all the useful information out of your guys' brains in terms of putting on either a good show or a good talk, or just all of us doing this wild brain dump onto the blockchain. I don't know. Listen, I don't need a good seg. I have good music. My name is Crimson Clad, and this is CyberBuzz Radio. All right. There you go. It's a good track. So today's been an absolute shit show. And yeah, Cider Junkie is right. I got the email. I've qualified for affiliate. Everything is good. I just haven't done it. Here's the deal. I don't do these streams to make money because I'm stupid. But I will say, I will work it out. I have to update my whole Twitch page. I have to get everything done. I have to finish some stuff in the Discord. I have to get the last couple videos up. And then, yes, I will turn that on. And if you have Amazon Prime, you get a free subscription on Twitch. If you want to throw that my way, that would be very cool. If you do not and you want to support a real, actually like good, useful streamer, please do that. But that being said, I would say that if I can actually start having a small income stream, or at least these streams paying for themselves and some of the work and the tech that goes into it, that'd be cool. But it's not why I do it. So let's. I know I'll do whatever it is. I don't know. I mean, maybe Twitch is gonna ask me for a lot of weird shit, and I'm not gonna feel comfortable, and then I'm just gonna give up on affiliate. I don't know. We'll find out. It's a work in progress. I'm a constant work in progress. So, with that being said, recapping today, we spent most of the day talking, push the button! I know, yes, this is very above and beyond. Push the button. So we spent most of the day talking about generative adversarial networks, talking about DALL-E and the other text prompt image, deep learning, machine learning AI networks that have gone viral, all of the hilariously stupid stuff that people are generating. And we kind of trace that through AI in general, what makes AI intelligent, to sort of early forms of artificial intelligence and machine learning, to where we are now. And we focus specifically a lot on facial recognition, facial profiling, and some of the ways that you can continue to everybody's just like, yeah, it's easy. It's easy to tell me you will give me money or subscribe when you can't do it physically because there is no button. I'm not just teasing you, corn dog. I realize, like, I'm a fucking idiot. I'm used to it. Don't worry. So we talked a lot about that. We talked about a tool called Fawkes, not like Fawkes like me, Fawkes like the Fawkes mask. And we specifically kind of discussed how that is a tool that actually poisons images. You can download it. You can actually use your images, run it through this, and it will change certain things at a pixel level that human eyes don't notice, but that an AI really struggles to profile. Very cool. We talked a little bit about, can you have your cake and use the web and Web3 and all of this sort of content creation stuff that we're used to? And can you eat it too? Not feed all of your information into a giant, potentially evil facial recognition machine. Right? I don't know. We'll see. So that's what we talked about for a lot of the show. Then we stepped in and we discussed a little bit that Hive Fest is coming, talking a little bit about Hive in general. And I kind of ran by you some stuff that I'm debating talking about, but maybe not. Maybe I'll just go and attend and hang out and do the schmooze thing and get really drunk again. I don't know. But people have asked me to talk, or will I talk? And this is kind of what's running through my head. So if you have some actual feedback on that, since we're at the end of the show, you don't need to put it here publicly. You don't need to pretend you like Hive or like me. Hi! John's everywhere again now. That's fine. But if it is something that you're interested in or you want to talk about, let me know, because I'm I'm going to be thinking about it at length a little bit more over the next couple weeks and kind of deciding what it is I'm going to do. But yeah, maybe, possibly. I'm open to the idea. And I'm certainly open to the idea of what the community wants to focus on. And for me, I think it would be nice to have sort of a broader overall Hive topic and something that focuses less on the technology and more on some of the other aspects that go into creating a successful ecosystem that continues to grow. I don't know. Maybe that's boring. And then finally, yes, get drunk and party. That's basically it. Trust me. Poland, Thailand, all of the places that I've been to meet up with Hive people has been an absolute drunken disaster, and I wouldn't change it for the world. And yes, I will absolutely. You think I'm going to be in Amsterdam on like a private boat trip and, whatever, and not drinking my face off? Oh, it's going to be bad. It's going to be a mess. Can't even wait. But the other thing is I played you a lot of new music today. And now that we've come here to the end of the show, I have changed. I've changed the way that some things have worked. So yes, I'm going to keep the updates flowing. I'm going to try and be a little more useful. And yes, CyberBuzz is back. For the most part, it is back. Clay, sorry, Clay. I'm sorry, Clay. I wasn't watching Discord. I was watching the restream chat and it's not pulling them up. I'm an asshole. Did I get charged for the squid facts? I actually did tell everybody live on air. I checked it. I checked my actual bill while texting. I did not. Squid facts are free. Also, I didn't tell you guys, I continued to doing the squid facts while I was at work and stuff. I'm not only checking Twitch, by the way, Clay. It's my restream chat. It normally pulls up everything. It pulls up the Theta, it pulls up the Twitch, it pulls up Vim, and it pulls up Trovo all simultaneously, puts it in a small window that I can overlay on top of my streaming software. For whatever reason, Discord is just not working today. Go fucking fish. I don't know. Mystery. I'm technologically advanced and also very stupid. So with that being said, I will play one more track before we hit the end of the show. Maybe. Will I? Yeah. Forever. Do you guys want like kind of a spooky, whatever, kind of deep, dark, dystopian synthwave track? I'll play that. And then, yes, I will be back next week. And I'm going to be ramping up my own Discord. I'm going to make sure to get out of my, to go out of my way to make sure that events are lined up, that show notes are posted. It's just, it's a process. Hive takes up all my time. Work takes up all my time. Life takes up all my time. But I want you guys to take up all my time. It's an effort. So let's do it. Here you go. It is called Forever by Maximum Love. Last track of the night, CyberBuzz Radio here on MSP Waves. There you go. That one, honestly, really, really good, just because, hang on, let me just quickly do this. Hang on. It has the coolest visual overlay. I don't know if you guys actually watch it, but if you do, I've kind of started incorporating anytime a band has a visualizer that goes along with the music, I put it up here on the screen. I love this one. I don't know if you can see it. The astronaut just tumbling around in, the outer atmosphere, violet energy waves just spinning him in, the bright side of the planet. It's awesome. I love stuff like that. So listen, we are here. We're right at the end of the show, sadly. I'm sorry, friends. It's been a good chat today, though. We've covered a lot of ground. There have been a lot of fun topics, and hopefully you guys found some music that you liked. I recapped it before the break, and I'm not going to spend the last couple minutes of the show recapping everything again today. But, hey, so whoever it was that followed earlier is officially my 100th follower on Theta. That's so cool. I feel like a big man now. I feel like a cool guy who doesn't afraid of anything. But yes, so I'm going through and doing a bunch of changes to the way that I'm streaming. I am focusing very much on Vim and sort of the live streaming platforms, and then using YouTube as a place to post truncated videos. And I'm going out there and going to be making an effort to getting my show notes up and kind of getting back to a place where I'm doing a little bit more on the content creation side. Will it actually happen? I don't know. Don't hold me to it. You're all awful and I hate you. And by that, I mean I love you. So that's it. CyberBuzz is officially going to be over here. And of course, if you are hanging out just to be with me, neat. Why? Ew. weird. But if you are, then you have a couple different opportunities to do this. You can follow or like or whatever, wherever you're watching now. You can follow me on the Hive blockchain, or you can just go to mspwaves.com/schedule and you can find either one of my shows. Saturday, here, now, at this time for you, wherever you are. And that is CyberBuzz. Thursday nights, Friday mornings, I don't know. The world is strange. Time zones are stupid. Full Force Radio, which is heavy metal and nonsense. Those are the 2 times that I do scheduled streams, and they're cool. So come hang out, maybe. I don't know. Otherwise, if you need anything, if you have ideas, if you do want to see something happening at Hive Fest, if you need dev help or whatever, shoot me a message. You can find me pretty much everywhere under Crimson Clad. I'm here to help. But for now, I have to go. They're going to kick me off the air in like 10 seconds. So, I hope you have a fabulous Saturday. Stick around for more shows on MSP Waves, or I will see you next week. Goodbye, my dears. Stay hydrated. It's ASMR.